friends, it's Carly and I'm back again with another review. So we are getting ready to look at a figure I've been working on getting to for the last couple of weeks, but as you guys know, during the holiday season, things can get a little bit dicey. So if you want to know when my videos are coming up, please make sure to be subscribed to my channel and have your notification bell turned on. You can also find announcements of my upcoming videos either on my YouTube channel when I schedule live streams, on my Instagram at YourAnnoyingFriendCar with underscores between all of the words, and on my Facebook Annoying You with Friendship page, which you can find at AnnoyingCar. So with all of that out of the way, let's get right into this review. We've been waiting on it for far too long. Today we are going to be taking a look at Toxin. Now, I just did the Venom Pool series. We still have Morbius to go. We might get to him, we might not. I'm not entirely sure. Let me know if you guys are really interested to hear my thoughts on Morbius. But I ended up getting really into the sort of Venomized series, and he was just a one-off of everyone else, so I wasn't really quite as interested in him. And then Toxin was outside of that run, so he kind of came separately, but obviously as a part of the group, and I really just wanted to keep all of these together. So let me know if you guys want to see Morbius, but I wanted to do Toxin as the next in the series, and I have a lot to say about this figure. So the nice thing is with all of his tendrils, I don't have to really block out that much to get focus. I did look up a little bit of information, you know, as I always try to do to learn about Toxin. And you guys, I take no pleasure in saying that honestly, I read and I just found this character to be super boring. I hate to say that, but I honestly couldn't even absorb the information. So I think there's enough to talk about with this figure that I'm not really going to go over any history like I normally do. I really apologize if you're a huge Toxin fan, but for me, it just wasn't drawing me in. It just felt like a rehashing of so many other things that we've already seen with Carnage, Venom, Phage, everybody. It just, I don't know, it just wasn't hitting me. So I'm sorry. If you guys feel like there's a storyline for Toxin that's really, really great that I'm missing about, let me know in the comment section. I will read it, I promise you, and I will post on my website or on my Facebook page about it. I don't want to do disservice to any of your characters, so I'm not going to talk about anything I don't know. This one just didn't hit me the way that others have. So the figure itself, though, I was very excited to have. Obviously, this is a huge, very impressive figure. He has all of these incredible, super detailed tendrils with little faces. The sculpt on his body is, again, one of those really vascular and muscular sculpts that I've really enjoyed with this series. I feel like they've really worked the sculpts on these super effectively so that you get the idea that this is a host and a symbiote. It's like two beings being brought together. I think that's expressed really, really well in the way the sculpts and the paintwork on these figures is done. So I really, really like the way that he looks from top to bottom. I do think from looking at the source material that this sort of like 50-50 look with a lot less color nuance being worked out throughout the bottom and the top of the figure kind of feels a little bit half done to me, but I mean, it is true to the character. I just feel like it could have been done a little bit better. This was an expensive figure, and I'm going to tell you why that bothers me a little bit on this particular guy. But when we're talking about just the sculpt, the head is incredible. I really love the texturing detail. The tendrils are really well thought out. I'll show you in just a second. They come in multiple pieces that you put together. So getting him all put together and ready to put on your shelf, as a model piece standing up, I think that this is a really great looking figure. I love the head sculpt, the paintwork, the green tongue, you know, the vascular sculpt on the body, I feel like is really, really good looking. So there are things about this figure that I like a lot. Let's take a look at how the tendrils work. So if you look at the back here, you can see that he looks really great from the back too. So with the tendrils on, it'll still photograph really, really well. I think that they worked these out pretty beautifully. So each piece, the top series fits into a piece that goes onto the back. And each of the knobs, or the pegs, I guess you would say, that fit in, are a slightly different shape. You can see right here, this one is sort of a half circle with 3 flat sides. So it's really easy to tell where each piece goes. They're all interlocking so that the sculptural element always comes out the same when you have it put together properly. So you can see here, you can see these are 2 very distinct different shapes. So there's no way to really get this wrong when you're putting it together. Which isn't that huge a deal, but I appreciate that they had like a vision for it and they made it so that you can't get it wrong. On the back, you can see that there's this peg here with like a square around it. You can see how that piece goes together. And it's the same on this one. It's like a deep groove, and you can see how this piece fits into that right here. So the way that the tendrils go in, I think, was really well thought out. And then there are 2, let's see. I think these are both sculpted in. Yeah. So then there's 2 sculpted in that just stay on the arms. So even without all of this extra that comes like this, he's still great looking. The back loses a little bit just because of the huge open holes. But if you're having him on your shelf like this, quite frankly, I don't know why you would. I feel like the tendrils are the most impressive part really of this figure, but he does still look good. I think you could create some interesting scenes with him just like this. So let's talk about what bothers me about this figure. So his back snaps on, and mine doesn't snap on well. So I'm gonna try to take this apart. So this is a very similar snap-on system like we saw on Sugarman on the head. Where it's like a flat side and then a pegged side that fit together like this. Mine doesn't fit together properly. So there's a long black seam that sits along his shoulders and sides. I cannot get it to sit flush. And in addition to that, now with the tendrils, I understand because there has to be balance. But with this piece being hollow and this piece being solid, and my piece is not fitting together. So mine could just be a production defect that maybe I got unlucky on, which has happened before. And you know, when these things are being so mass produced, it can happen. So I'm not super mad about that, but it is kind of what ruins this particular figure for me. So not having those fit together well bothers me. And then having this hollow piece on the back, really, if you don't have the tendril set in, for me personally, I know I'm gonna get blowback on this because this was a really popular figure, but it feels cheap. It feels super, super cheap. Now, for photographs, I think he's gonna look great. For play, which is like, you know, I play around with my toys. I do photographing with them, but like I'm working, you know, I told you guys I'm working on a TikTok channel. I just have fun with them. I'm a nanny, so I let the kids that I work with play with them sometimes, depending on the figure. But this figure does not feel substantial to me. He feels, you know, we've got that, again, loosey-goosey bottom. So we're seeing like an old mold that wasn't like really put together super well, at least for mine. You can see that huge seam right there, here, and here, that does not go together. Now with the tendrils put on, it does come down over his shoulders like this, so you can't really see that, but it doesn't make it bother me less. I just don't know why. I can't get over it, but when I started to notice that, then I started to notice all the other things that are sort of part and parcel of having mass-produced figures made from the same molds repeatedly over and over and over again. So while I'm really happy with the paintwork and the sculpt of this figure, particularly the head, the, you know, the mechanics of it just don't feel great to me, and that's kind of how I'm ending up feeling about it. It makes me feel sort of ho-hum about the whole thing because the quality of, you know, the figure as a whole just doesn't feel on point to me, and I don't like that feeling, especially for a figure that costs more than a standard figure. And this is a large figure, but it doesn't feel substantial without all of the tendrils on. And Yeah, so I know, like I said, I know I'm going to get blowback about that because this was a very popular figure and people have been really happy with it. But for me, my piece is not, you know, there's problems with it. So let's look at one of those right now. So for instance, when I'm, you know, using the arms, that makes the back separate. And like even more than it already was. And you just can't get that seam closed. So I have a lot of problems with raising the arms. You can raise them, but I also have one popping out constantly. So that's been something I've been working with as I use him. It's like there's a stiffness in the joints of mine. But when I do get them to work, the lateral lift on the arms is great. There really isn't any on the legs. You know, you like the turning in the hip up here that we normally get to get that like really good sort of split leg doesn't really work that well. But we have all of the, you know, articulate points that we're used to seeing on our bulky male figures. And you know, when you have a muscular build like this, that you can expect some hindrance, and it's not as bad as I would have thought. So the knees are fine, the feet are great. I think you could get some really good sort of animalistic, acrobatic type poses that you would expect out of a character like this with this particular figure. But let's see, let's look at the ab crunch. It's pretty good. And then let's see if he goes back. He has a really nice clicky, but he doesn't go back at all, which is fine, I guess. With all the tendrils, you might not want to. He's got a nice turning bicep here. You can't go all the way around, I don't think, because, well, you can in the shoulder, but mine isn't turning here. The elbows are good. He has that great big meaty bicep, so we're not getting, you know, all the way up, but it's fine. It looks really good. It's stiff on mine. And hands again, when we're trying to turn, you know, move the wrists back and forth, we're not really getting much there. So it looks like they bend back a ton, but not forward at all. I mean, you can see how loose this is. This is the story with this whole figure for me. Like everything on it just sort of pops off while you're trying to use it. It's just not, you know, it's just not satisfying. It's disappointing, really, to have a toy that looks this nice and plays so poorly. The head, we don't expect much when you have like this big upper body of back and forward lift, so I'm not too stressed about that, especially with his cool tongue. It doesn't really matter to me that much. You can get a pretty decent look up, and the turning from right to left is fine, so that's great. I don't have really any complaints about the head at all, especially with such a beautiful paint job that looks so good. I am really happy with the paint job. But like from the neck down, everything is just sort of not done well. And I've talked to a few friends who just really loved this figure and thought that it was fantastic. So I sort of surrender to the idea that it's possible that I just got one that wasn't done well. Like I got super unlucky on all the parts and pieces, because the style, the sculpt, the paintwork, all of that is just like deeply satisfying. When he has his tendrils on, I know I'm going to put him on my shelf. He'll be next to Venom Pool and it's going to look incredible. And I'm really, really stoked about that. But I will never play with this toy. I'll put him together, I'll put him on the shelf, and there he will sit, because he's just not, you know, built to use at all. He has all of his articulate points, as I said, but you've seen, you know, how they work. Not well, not great. Hands, arms, legs just sort of pop off. Yeah, so I was unhappy about that, and I might be letting it affect me too much, because everyone that I've told that I didn't love this figure was really surprised by that. So I think I just need to get him together, put him on my shelf, and appreciate him visually, and just not worry so much about the play. Maybe it's something I can pick up another one and I'll get a better, you know, draw a better piece than I did this time, but on this one, I'm just not satisfied with the way that he was put together. So let me know if you guys got a Toxin, what you think about it. Do you think I'm being too hard on the little problems that he has here and there? Because he does look really spectacular all put together. Or do you think that, like, you know, a figure that looks this good should also work, especially if it's at a higher price point? And I can't remember exactly what the price point was, but I'm thinking $32.99. So yeah, I feel like it's fair to expect it to play as well as it looks. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I am going to do next my Rogue and Gambit videos. Let me know if you really want to see Morbius. If you guys want to see my thoughts on him, I'm going to do it. So I never want to disappoint. We just might push that back a little bit. And yeah, I can't wait to hear what you guys think of this review, because just from talking to friends, it hasn't been one of my most popular opinions today, and I always love to hear what you guys think. If you guys have a good Toxin story that you think I need to read, share that, and I will definitely do it and share my opinions and thoughts with you guys later. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful holiday season and that you enjoyed this video. We've got more coming up. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel and have your notifications bells turned on so that you know when content is coming up. And I will be back very soon with another one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye, friends.